Hey guys, this is Colby. Today I'm going to show you how to rig the undergarments to your armature using automatic weights. So let's get started. So the first step is to separate everything on your undergarments. So I'm going to go select my armor piece and go into edit mode, press tab, or click up here. Select everything, press A, press P to separate by loose parts. Now we have everything separated, but we need to reset the geometry to their origins. So right click, set origin to geometry. And so now we have their origins reset. So now we can start parenting the armor pieces to the armature themselves. So I'm going to select this piece right here, and then select the armature. So hold down Shift, go into pose mode, and select this bone here, because that's the one it's nearest to. Control P to parent to bone. And we're going to do the same over here. So select this piece here, selecting the armature, go into pose mode, and set it to this bone. So now those two pieces are pretty much attached to the top of the thigh, like that. So that's good. That'll be the easiest part of the whole rig. But now we need to start parenting this piece and the legs to the armature itself. So now let's go ahead and start parenting this piece and this one, so the armature. So instead of just parenting to the bone directly, we're going to select one of the pieces, hold Shift, select the rig, press Control P to parent with automatic weights. And so what that means is that the bones will essentially control different parts of the mesh. Since it's not a single piece, it's actually like going to bend like right down the middle here. And this is like the turning point right here. So Blender kind of figures out how it's going to control the mesh itself with automatic weights. So when we go into pose mode, select the ankle here. It controls this whole piece, but there's some problems here. So the undergarment right here is like clipping through the thigh and the calf, but we can fix that later with weight painting. And weight painting is a bit, it takes a little bit of practice, but I think you should get the hang of it pretty soon. So now just parent this piece to the armature with automatic weights. And for this one, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to scale it up a little bit, so that way it doesn't clip through the armature, or the base mesh I mean, too much. It'll make it a little bit easier later on. Just make sure it's kind of spaced out a little bit. So when you start to bend the spine, it'll start to kind of clip through around the waist area. So now let's parent this torso piece to the armature with automatic weights. So select the torso piece, hold down Shift, select the armature, Control P to parent with automatic weights. And so now it's parented. When we go into pose mode, you can see that the spine is now controlling parts of the mesh. But there's still some problems, so we need to optimize it a little bit with weight painting. But for a start, it's not bad. But as you can see, whenever you control the hand, it kind of does some weird stuff with the undergarment. So now let's go ahead and start weight painting. So weight painting is pretty easy to do, but it's like hard to master. So we're going to select the armature and then select the torso piece here and go into weight paint mode. And so you'll see some rainbow colors and stuff. That's just like pretty much like the percentage of the mesh that the bone controls. So 0 is blue, and then red is like 100%. So the closer to red it is, the more control the bone has over the mesh. But we need to go ahead and like select this bone over here and make sure that this side does not control too much of the mesh. Same over here. So to start set the weight painting, we need to go into this menu here. So wrench with the screwdriver. And I'm going to set the weight to 0. And you see all these options here. I'm just going to turn them all off for now because I don't really need them. And I'm going to turn on the symmetry. to make it a little bit easier to save some time. On the x-axis, so I'm gonna select this bone here, set the weight of this area, and just pretty much make it all 100% blue, as blue as you can get. And I'm gonna do the same over here. So you need to hold down Control and click on a bone in order to start setting the weight painting. So still some blue areas, or some lighter blue, so we need to set it to like the same color. And so there we go. So now I want to remove the armor up. It's not really clipping through too much. And since we scaled up the piece a little bit earlier, that allows it to essentially not clip through as much either. So it just kind of helps, with the clipping and all that. So now we need to start setting the weight painting for the spine pieces. This one, and this one on the mesh. So I'm gonna go back into weight painting mode. So it's like the armature. It's like the next piece you want to control. I'm gonna weight paint. So right now, this area is pretty good. That's fine. When we bend the spine, just make sure it's not clipping. So when we bend it about like right here, you can see that there's like some clipping going on right there. So we need to go ahead and fix that. So make sure your symmetry is on the x-axis to save some time. In order to fix this, it's not always the same every time, but I'm just gonna try to experiment a little bit with the weight. So right now it's a green, which is about like 50%. So I'm gonna maybe change it to like a little bit lower, or 30%, like right there. Let's see if that helps. And it doesn't, so I'm gonna actually change it to maybe like 75%, which is like an orangish kind of color, or yellow, like right there. And so realistically, you probably wouldn't bend the spine this much. So, this kind of bend is fine. But I'm just gonna try to get it really good. Just to test the extremes. Requires a little bit of experimenting. I'm gonna set the weight to maybe like 90%, which is almost red. It's a bit hard because you can see this really sharp line right here, which isn't good. We need to like kind of blend it out a little bit. So I'm gonna use the smear tool and just sort of blend it all together and make it a little bit more smooth. Just kind of move it up a little bit. Yeah, it's not too bad. So I'd say I'm happy with that. It's still clipping through a bit. That's fine. Because realistically, you probably wouldn't bend the spine that much. It's like almost 90 degrees bent. About 70 degrees. That's really extreme. But as you can see, it's kind of controlling this area a little bit too much. So let's set the weight to maybe like, maybe, so it's right now it's at 90, change it to like 30%, or maybe lower than that actually. Like right around this area. And it's actually better to paint when the bone is at a rest position. So right now it's bent, so we need to fix that. So I'm gonna select this bone, and then press Control R, or Alt R, I mean. That'll fix the rotation. Now we can symmetrize more perfectly. That's all right. Just testing out the bones. But that's all right. So now let's go ahead and start painting this area here. So let's see it, test it out. So it's kind of clipping through a bit, like in this back area. So I'm gonna go use the smear tool and just kind of move this green a little bit down. Should me do it without the rotation. right now it's rotated. We need to fix that. So Alt R, just kind of smeared in circles. That'll allow it to blend the best. Let's test that out. So it's still kind of clipping through a bit. So I'm gonna mess with the weight painting a little bit. I'm gonna set it to maybe like 50%, which is a greenish. Maybe change it up a little bit. See if that helps. Nope, it doesn't. I'm gonna do the other way. So maybe go to like 25% in this area. Probably wouldn't bend the spine this much either, the upper part of it. But let's just see. So I'm gonna turn off symmetry for a second and just kind of try to fix this spot right here, because this is where it's like conflicting a bit. So let's see if it's decreasing it helps. Instead I might do a little bit more weight painting to like 70% yellowish. So it's not really helping that much. This is like the part of weight painting that I don't like, is when it's not working well, because sometimes it doesn't. It takes a bit of practice and experimentation. And the video is kind of dragging on now because it's not going the way I want it to, but let's see if this helps. Smearing it up a bit. But here's how my white painting for this top bone here looks on the mesh. It's just green for the most part on this area. So now we need to start testing the rig a little bit, kind of seeing any problems that might occur. So here it's getting a bit of a hunchback whenever we move down. So it's like kind of moving up a little bit. So we need to go and fix that. So in order to kind of fix that hunchback issue, whenever you bend the character, that's moving forward, go ahead and turn on the AutoNormalize tool. So I'm going to weight paint again. It's the weight painting and turn on AutoNormalize, and that'll kind of allow you to, I don't know why it does it, but it'll essentially just like set the weight painting a little bit better for the areas. It's more smooth, and it allows the armature or the undergarment to actually stick to the base mesh a little bit better. But anyway, let's move on to the legs and start weight painting on this stuff and fix that. And that'll be the end of the video. So let's get started. So I'm gonna do this a little bit quicker so you can see better. So I'm gonna select this piece here. Select the armature, or select the armature first, I mean, and select this piece. I'm gonna weight paint. This area should be 100% red. So change it to 1. For this shin bone here, you should control this entire area. And the thigh bone should control the thigh area. And let's make a gradual transition from the thigh to the shin. Green kind of middle zone, right about here. That's where it turns. There we go. So let's test it out. It's pretty good for the most part. Let's try to change this weight paint a little bit. Use the smear tool. And there we go. So now let's make sure that it doesn't control this side of the base mesh. That's pretty good. And there we go. So whatever I did on this side can be easily done on the other side. Just essentially do the same process, but with this piece instead. And make sure that the thigh bone controls the top half of the leg piece here, and then the shin bone controls the other half. And make sure you have a green like transition right here with the weight painting. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and I'll try to answer them. And pretty sorry that this video took a while and it kind of dragged on a bit. But weight painting isn't like something I'm like super experienced with. There's a lot of other videos that cover it a little bit better than I do. But I tried to just go in a little more detail. But anyways, I hope you all guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all guys next time.